Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for November 14th, 2025. I'm Benji Fisher, sharing my screen and moderating, and also present are two of our regulars, Ralph Kohler and Simo Helston. So let's talk about issue 3373258, allow to select reference method in link field type for internal links. And I've prepared a test site. Let me give you, actually, I forgot one step. I forgot to share it. So here we go in the Zoom chat. That's the ngrok version of my test site. You can log in as admin as usual. I guess I'll continue where I was working with the just the local URL, which wouldn't have done you any good, drupal.ddev.site. Um, so to start with, I have just the current development branch 11.x checked out. And I've already added a link field and an entity reference field to the article content type in Umami. And if we edit any article, say this one, the link field, and then the node reference, my two test fields show at the bottom. And the link field is configured with the default values, so you can make internal links or external links. So you could do, say, the homepage of Drupal.org. But the part relevant to this issue is when you make an internal link. So you can do autocomplete and crema catalana. That's one of the recipes on the site. And let me leave the link text blank just to see what default value we get here. And a node reference, this is restricted to recipe nodes, also has an autocomplete field. It doesn't give you the second field for the link text. It will fill in the link text automatically. And let's just save that. And then view it. So scroll past everything that's there by default. And here we have the test link. So the first one is Drupal. That's the external link that I added, and I put in the link text. And here's the second field. Since I didn't put in any link text, it just defaulted to the path to the internal path to the page. Um, and I actually have two blocks here based on the node reference. One uses the label formatter, and here it fills in the title of the recipe I linked to. You can also display the rendered entity in any view mode you choose, and I chose the card view. So here's the card view of that recipe node. Um, any questions or clarifications at this point?
Nope, from my end.
Okay. Um, so then let's look at the admin view of how those fields are configured. Um, so for the link field, I've configured it to be unlimited, so you can have as many links as you want. Help text, required fields, users may translate this field. As I said, these are all the default values. Um, the two options you have when configuring the field, other than those standard things, are you can limit a link field to just internal links, just external links, or you can allow both. Allowing both is the default. You can either require or disable link text, or you can make it optional. Optional is the default. Um, for the node reference field, there are a bunch of different options. Um, again, I configured it to be unlimited, so we can add more links. Um, so there's this reference type where you can use the default, which I did, um, or if you create an entity reference view, which I haven't done, you can have a custom view that populates the autocomplete field. Um, and as I said, I chose it to uh, reference recipes, and I chose a sort field. Recipe name is an alias for the title of the recipe node, and sort titles ascending. Um, so in in this issue, it says, wouldn't we like to have that same flexibility that we have for entity reference fields, that you have the option to define a view and use that as your autocomplete option? Wouldn't it be nice to have that flexibility not just for entity reference fields, but also for link fields when the links are targeting internal paths? So now let me go to my terminal window, which you won't see. And I'm going to switch to the feature branch, which I've also merged with 11.x. And then back here, um, and before I do anything else, I want to look at the status report because I think there are some pending database updates added by this issue. Um, Yes, database updates. And I almost always run my database updates through Drush, but um, it is still possible to run database updates through the UI. The two pending updates are both for the link module, so I'm pretty sure they're both added by this issue. Going to apply the pending updates. And we didn't have any errors. So let's just go to the status report. Only two errors, and I'm not worried about those. So now let's see first on the admin side. Let me edit that link field. And it's still unlimited. Still internal and external links are allowed. Now in between the allowed link type and the allow link text, those two options that were always there, in between those two, we now have this collapsible field set for reference type. Um, and this looks just like the options that we saw for the entity reference. You can either have the default or you can specify an entity reference view. Um, and one slightly annoying thing is that you have this required field that you have to specify what content type you're going to be targeting. Um, if you try to just accept default values everywhere and click Save Settings, you'll get an error because of the required field. Um, and that I think is a good reason to have this collapsible field, this details element, open by default because it does contain a required field. So having it closed by default would be very confusing. Um, and if you say it should just target recipe, you then get the sort field. And once you choose the sort field, you get the sort direction field. And then you can save the settings. There's no change to the node reference. Um, if you look at form display, which I didn't look at before, um, there are some new options. Autocomplete matching was there before. No, I take it back. I think the autocomplete matching is new and the number of results is new. These two fields were always there. Um, so now if I go to edit my test page, here's my external link, here's my internal link. Um, and it's still an autocomplete field by default. Because I haven't taken advantage of the new flexibility. I haven't created an entity reference view. Um, So there's not much difference until I do that, unless I do that. But I can once again add a link to this recipe, vegan chocolate and nut brownies, vegan chocolate and nut brownies, chocolate and nut brownies. So do we have any usability comments? Oh, I see, Ralph, you have your hand raised. Sorry. Go ahead.
Um, Could you please go back to the field settings of the link field, please? Because
Field
there's
settings of the link field. Oh, this is form display,
display.
manage fields, test link.
And if you scroll down a bit, please. Um, my only problem I see, could you slowly a bit up? Yeah, that's okay. Perfect. Um, the sole problem I see is if you, for example, select internal links only,
Hmm.
then you see reference type. Now please select external links only. Now the reference type is gone. And now click on both internal and external links. So the question is basically, if someone selects that, is that the scope of that reference type field set, does it apply only to internal or to external links? That is not clear. It is, if you compare it with the other options, then it becomes clear, but still, it would be good to be explicit here to what the reference type applies.
Okay, so yes, this is intentional. It's progressive disclosure. Um, if you're only allowing external links, then you know there's no autocomplete.
Yep.
So you don't have that new option. Um, but if you allow internal links, whether or not you allow external links, then yes. So you think there should be some text inside this details element
Yeah,
saying
or the
that this
label.
applies only to internal links.
Yeah, or the label, reference type, or internal links or something like that.
Okay.
And aside that, I also agree with the required content type. What you've noticed, if someone misses the red star, then it's also a bit confusing, potentially.
Simo, any comments?
I'm wondering what is the uh, how does it handle situations where there is a re reference view limiting the options, and then somebody edits and there are links added according to that views, and then somebody changes the restriction, maybe replacing the allowed content type with another different content type. How will it handle the existing content?
Um, I think I can answer that. That this doesn't change how things are stored in the database. So a link field is still going to save some sort of URI and optionally the link text in the database, and that's not going to change. So existing links should continue to function as they have. So does that answer your question?
Uh, yeah, I think so. But and then on if you edit the node, then it would then you would need to change the link before saving, I would assume,
Um,
because then
oh,
it wouldn't be allowed option anymore.
ah, well, okay, let's try that. Let's say we only want to target basic pages instead of recipes. And then let's edit this. And this is targeting a recipe. This is targeting a recipe, so I can just click save and see what happens.
Oh,
Um, However, if I try to change one of them, um, you know, autocomplete now fails to find anything for chocolate. Why does C complete to about umami? Um, I guess there are only a couple of basic page nodes on the site. And I didn't change this, so I should still get the same autocomplete options that I had before.
but I suppose that behavior might be the same without the merge request as well.
And if you delete that, then you can't select it again.
Right. So having deleted that, or if I remove, then I can't get it back again, having changed it. So there are a couple of things I don't like about this. Um, so one is, let me collapse this details element. One is that people are familiar with the existing behavior. They have the allowed link type and the allowed link text. Um, and the new options are inserted between those and not collapsed by default. So I think that'll be a little disconcerting for people who are used to the existing options. So I would rather have this new details element be either before or after the existing options. Another thing I don't like about it is that it used to be that when you add a link text, you could just accept the default values. You didn't have to fill in anything. And all of a sudden, there's this required field for content type. Um, so one option is to use the pattern that if nothing is selected, then there's no restriction. We've talked about that, not recently, but we've talked about that pattern a lot. And I think we agreed it's a confusing pattern and we should avoid it. So another option would be to have the default value be everything is allowed. Um, and if that were the default, then when adding a link field, you could just
Yeah.
accept default values and click Save Settings, and you wouldn't get a form error. Um, if you, and having made that change, you also now have the option of collapsing this details element by default. And if we think of that as sort of an advanced setting, I guess advanced settings usually go near the end. If we put the details element at the end collapsed, then that would be a sort of minimal addition to this admin page. And people who wanted the new feature could then scroll to the bottom and open it up and choose their entity reference view. Oh, that's a little disconcerting. When I choose that, it reloads in the modal and scrolls to the top of the modal.
Well,
So if there's any way to avoid that, it would be nice. I wonder, do we get the same behavior for the node reference? Yes. Okay, so that's an existing problem. It's not really in scope for the current issue.
odd. What is the purpose of scrolling there?
Why does it scroll to the top of the page?
Yeah. What's the
Or
benefit?
or
Because
or to
you
the top of modal? I think that's just the default behavior. It's an Ajax refresh,
yeah,
and
okay. But basically, you get pulled out of the context you're currently in particular with scrolled in, zoomed in like you are right now. The scroll is significant on a bigger screen. It isn't that big of a difference, but here it matters from my point of view.
oh yeah, it's certainly something that should be fixed. But I'm just saying that
Out of
since
scope.
since the problem already exists for the reference field, yes, it's out of scope.
Yep, agreed. But
Um, Go ahead.
one comment about your suggestion. I agree. Um, ticking all the available content types by default. That's a good idea. But on the other hand, I'm uncertain if moving the details element for reference type underneath allow link, because strictly speaking, the reference type detail element is in the context of that allowed link type, and therefore placing it away, I'm not sure.
Well, that's a good point. As again, we've got this progressive disclosure, so this whole details element is tied to the choice you make here,
Yeah,
which is why it does make sense to have it immediately follow the allowed link type.
yep. But having it collapsed that way and all that checkboxes ticked, that would be good. But still, my only problem is still the label or reference type. In particular, if you have it collapsed now, then there should be a direct connection about which
Yeah,
of the options reference type actually is.
yeah, I agree. Simply changing this label from reference type to reference type for internal links
Yeah,
would be a big improvement. And if we do make it collapsed by default, um, then that's all we see, and that's helpful. If it's collapsed by default, then it minimizes the disruption for people who are used to seeing these two options together, the allowed link type and the allowed link text. So I guess I feel that this is a sort of complicated option that some people will occasionally want, um, but most people are likely to skip. And so my goal is to minimize the disruption for default use of the field, um, since it's something that I expect will not be used very often.
great. Um, just one question in regards of performance. Let's say you are on a site with, let's say, 20 or 40 content types. And now, if we go now with, for example, all the available content types ticked, um, has that some sort of performance implication if basically all content types automatically apply instead of being specific and just choose, for example, the article content type?
I'm not sure how that would affect performance. I mean, are you thinking about the performance of this admin form or the performance when a content editor is editing a page?
The latter, meaning, because strictly speaking, if someone auto-completes and all the available content types are being checked, that was my thought.
I think it's we probably usually configured that content type selection if there are lots of content types, and in also in some cases it will be restricted by permissions.
What permissions are you thinking of?
I'm thinking that you probably can't reference an item you're not allowed to view. And so,
So go ahead.
but then again, yeah, I was thinking your content type you're not allowed to edit, but it probably is a view. If you're not allowed to view the title of it, that would restrict. But then that's not so common case. So I was actually confusing with the limitations of edit access. But yeah, that it would be view access.
Okay, and view access typically depends on whether it's published or not. Doesn't doesn't affect the is not affected by the content type. Um, so are we ready to make a recommendation here, or are there still open questions? Okay, so I think the recommendations are to expand the label of this details element, reference type for internal links. Um, select all content types by default so that um, it's it's easy to add a link field and accept all the default values, and then to collapse the details element by default.
Yep, agreed.
Okay.
Um, And maybe also mention to create a follow-up for that scrolling behavior.
Right.
And one thing, could we quickly revisit the manage form display and those two new components and just take another look at the descriptions, if those are concise enough?
Um, I believe that they're the same as what we have on the autocomplete on the
Okay,
reference
okay,
field.
okay.
So I think it's inherited for this. Autocomplete matching starts with or contains some help text, number of results, size of text field. Um,
Okay, yeah, then it's fine.
okay. Um, so we still have almost 20 minutes left. Let's just have a quick look at the list of issues that are waiting for usability review and see if anything jumps out at us. So this is the issue we've been looking at. Inform users that maintenance mode message is not displayed on cached pages. We looked at this a while ago. Provide Drupal root path on the file system admin form. Media library upload form should use source field, label, and description. That also looks familiar. And then these two are from contrib modules. I don't think we've looked at that, and it looks as though, well, no one has commented on this last one since the issue was created. Are there any of these that either of you would like to look at?
Guess all of them got reviewed by us already. Just rechecking the, yeah, all three got reviewed.
The first
Should
three?
we? No, the last three. Inform the no, I mean the inform. Scroll it a little bit up. The inform users that the maintenance mode got reviewed, provide Drupal root got reviewed, and media library upload form got reviewed. They just got in for re-review, I suppose.
All right, so it's probably not a good thing to do as a group, but maybe I can follow up and see whether it's appropriate to remove the usability review tag from those three issues.
Yeah. Looking at The inform user that the maintenance mode message is not displayed. I guess, yeah, the usability needs usability review could basically removed. Because Ivnish simply applied the suggestions from our review, and that's the needs review now tag. The review is in 96.
Oh, well, there's one usability review in comment 67, and then it was added back in 92. And you gave that.
Yeah. But I haven't removed it again. Yeah, okay.
So again, I don't think that that's a useful thing to do as a group. I think
Yeah.
that any one of us individually can check whether they've made the requested changes, and if so, we can remove the tag. And if they've pushed back against our recommendations, then maybe we can talk about it next week. But I think maybe we should just end 15 minutes early.
Yeah. Yep.
And I will add a comment to the issue we looked at today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I will be back next week, I think. I have to check my schedule to be sure.
Yeah. I'm hopefully there as well. But yeah, until 1st of December, it's a bit in limbo on my end, depending how far I get.
Okay.
Okay, look. So have a nice weekend, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
And
Yeah, have a nice weekend.
till next week, probably. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.